vibration of creation, the cosmic hum. The eternal cyclic rhythm of earth, moon, and sun. Earth song is the ancient conversation between shore and sea. The love ballad between flower and bee. Earth song is the melody of mountains that rise and fall.
Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to this interview in Embody the Empress, where we're working on how to blossom and flourish in harmony with the natural world. Today, I am so thrilled to introduce you to Alexis Cohen. Alexis has been in my life for many years now, since my very beginning days in the entrepreneurial journey that I've had online since 2017. So having this conversation feels particularly special and rich. But for those of you that haven't met Alexis until now, Alexis is a visionary artist and filmmaker who brings a decade of experience as a birth doula with, I learned today, over 300 babies to her current art practice and art, medicine, and mentorship practice. Welcome, Alexis, and thank you so much for being here.
It's so lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So, as I am doing with all our beautiful speakers in this series, I want to take us on a little journey back in time and look at the Alexis that had been through school, and that sort of 14 to 21 is when where we accumulate the tool bag that we will have as we're launched into womanhood, the beliefs about who we are, our potential, what we're capable of, our place in the world, all of these things. And so if you would, just take a minute to go back to that time, maybe you're 18, maybe you're 21, wherever feels best to start. Who was Alexis then, and what did what were your first steps? What did you imagine you were here to do?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's really interesting. I'm writing a short film script right now about a 16-year-old girl, and I am so up in my own 16-year-old experience right now. And
we'll go back to 16. That's
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So there's two kind of ages that are being highlighted in this range, where it's like that's where my sexuality was coming online. That's when it was just, I was like really aware of that sexual energy running through my body. Truthfully, I didn't really know what to do with it. And that became kind of a theme throughout my life, meaning like there'd be these periods of time where there'd be so much energy and power kind of rising in my system. And I had no idea what to do with it, like at all. And so what I would do, and I think this is common for a lot of women, I would suppress it in various ways, and, and it would kind of like come in and out. And, and so like fast forward to like 21, where, it was like I left home, and it was just like the biggest spiritual opening of my life. I had all of this energy. And that's where like the portal of art really opened up for me, where like I had this huge spiritual opening through writing, and I went to school for creative writing, and it was like, ooh, it was so intense. It was so intense. It was just like this direct line to spirit through my art. Um, and yeah, and it was a really intense time. And I know, like, looking back at that experience, I felt really alone in it. Um, but there was this like power I felt at the same time. So it was just this interesting tension of like, what do I do with all of this? And like, is anyone else seeing this? And actually, this one time, I know a lot of the shows about leadership too. When I was 21, and this like my first really big spiritual opening was happening. I was in a class and I was looking and I was pretty shy and I just couldn't hold it back anymore. And I just like stood up in the class. I don't know what we were sharing. And I looked around. I'm like, are you all feeling this? This is a renaissance that we're stepping into. Does anyone else feel it? And it was like crickets, except one woman after class came up to me and she's like, I know what you're talking about and I feel it too. And this was in 1999. And I'm like, okay, maybe not everyone is feeling it, but that woman is feeling it too. So it was, it's like that's where it was like really coming online. This like that creative feminine power was just like
Mm.
wouldn't couldn't be held back anymore.
I love the boldness of that, of standing up. I can see the shy version. It's so gorgeous. As you're saying that, it was bringing forward a memory of something that I used to think about a lot, and that is, this desire as somebody that was a really miserable, sad teenager, and that's, like that's who I was launched into womanhood as. But I've always had
Mm,
this bubbling dream to have like a finishing school, but
mm.
finishing being like an initiation or a
Yeah, of course.
transition period, like it's like that rite of passage for women from
Mm,
girlhood to womanhood. Imagine if we had an experience where we went for a body of time where like where you were encouraged to journal and meditate and get to know yourself without
mm.
judgment,
Oh
without
my gosh.
just like, who are you, rather than this, well, you leave school, you get these marks, so you go this way and hopefully somebody will fall in love with you so you can get married, and then like
Yeah,
all this
yeah.
externalized, there's this need for somebody else to guide us. And if we could turn that
Mhm.
around into something that was just like getting to know who we are and we're
Mm.
strengths. Mm,
Wow. That'd be a dream.
wouldn't it?
It really would.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think a lot about the other thing that was coming up as you were talking. And I think a lot about the number of people, the number of women, particularly, or girls that are encouraged not to follow the path of, artistry or something because it's just
Yeah.
frivolous and, you'll never make a living, and how we're
Mm.
robbed of that experience, which could lead to something similar to what you've just talked about.
Hmm.
So your awareness of this feeling that was coming through, where did that lead? What did you do with that?
Mm. Well, it's interesting you're talking about like this is like we're exploring like this is what launched us into womanhood as as we're sitting here I'm like oh yeah that's kind of like the pattern that I work through a lot even to this day,
Yeah.
right? Like it's this and support other women with too where there's a significant amount of creative power that is coming through, and it's our dance with it, right? Like, are we going to surrender and open to it? Because there typically is some kind of ego death that is associated with that, or are we going to resist it? And this is something that I saw in birth all the time and learned over and over again, right? Like when a woman was preparing in a particular way and she was supported in a particular way and surrendered in a particular way, what would occur as opposed to the resisting it,
Mm,
her body resisting it. So I do not have human children, but this dance and what I would see in birth is the dance of creation, really.
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, it's for me, and it's always the same rite of passage when I'm being called into a new creative endeavor. Always. I'm in it right now. I just actually the last couple days had some like relief,
Mm.
like, okay, I can surrender. Um, because I think there is some resistance, not only of the power, but of the death part. And once I remembered that where I'm going, this creative power, it's always who I've been. And it's an illusion to think that this was never me. So, um, yeah, so I don't know if that answered the question. I just kind of felt,
Yeah, if we come back to this essence or the archetype of the Earth Mother, which
yeah,
is the Empress, it's all, like there's all about this birthing of something in
yeah.
the world. And I think, I have a real sadness that there has been so much indoctrination of fear around the
Oh,
physical
yeah.
of actual babies, because as a
Mm,
mother of four, this was something that I had to, and there was a personal power that I had at that point that I wasn't even aware of. But I
yeah.
was so connected to birthing my babies, and it was a very intense
Mm,
experience. I was
mm,
lucky enough to have a beautiful midwife. And it was I just went completely inwards, and it was like, don't touch me, don't come near me.
yes.
This is my process. This is my experience with my baby. And
Mm,
I was very strong in that. I don't know where it came
mm,
from. Maybe there was an
mm,
ancestral thing there. But the
mm.
number of times that people wanted to share all the trauma stories and all the things to be,
Oh, yeah.
and don't, like doing this without a doctor there monitoring, lie on your back so that he can do the whole thing for you.
Right.
And there's almost a belief that is put into women that you're being selfish if you don't put yourself in the hands of somebody else. Don't trust yourself. Don't trust yourself. This is
Mm,
the great trauma that we get to heal from in all areas.
mm,
And it carries over, when we're birthing things into the world. I've
yeah.
told the story with, and I'm sure you do beautiful series as well. But for me, once I've named it and put,
Yeah.
like, it takes on a life of its own. It is literally
Yeah.
a baby. You almost can't control it. You nourish it, you nurture it, but it takes on a life of its own. It's a
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah, come through.
Hmm.
So now I've gone off on a tangent.
I know. We're flowing. This is great. We're in the field. We're in the energy of it.
So with this, I'm just trying to think where you actually wound, where we're carrying on from your story.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think the last thing that you finished with.
Mm, I can share a little. I know where we left off and kind of what was born from there. Um, yeah, so like when that big awakening occurred,
Mm.
right? Scared me so much, didn't know what to do with it. Didn't I had very loving people in my life. They didn't know what to do with it. So then I made choices when I think before we hit record, we were talking about like the red flags
Yeah.
and things
Yes.
where I didn't know what to do with it. And so then I immediately suppressed it and got into a relationship with a really like straight arrow, like not, like sweet guy, but just like not the right person,
Yeah.
and got very depressed. I didn't, know what to do with any of it. So just, um, and was with him for a few years. And again, sweet guy. And we were like on the track for like getting married. And it was just, thank goodness, by the grace of spirit, we both on the same day realized it was yeah, it's such an actually a very interesting story, but it was just this very beautiful friendly breakup on the exact same day we had the realization. And it was like, okay, I'm moving out, I'm going back to the city, I'm going to art, like I'm gonna go follow my path. And but I had no ground under my feet. So what I did have was art, and I was making art every day. And up until that point, I was a writer. I didn't do so much visual art, but it was called to art every single day, every single day, every single day. And that voice of spirit came back,
Mm.
and like so beautifully. Now I know what it is, like clairaudient, right? Like I can hear spirit. That's some people are clairvoyant. So I hear it. And oops, oopsies.
Actually, haven't heard that term before. So tell me more about that. So clairvoyant is when you see, and
mhm.
clairaudient is when you hear. Huh. Okay. I haven't
Yeah.
heard that before.
Yeah. So I was drawing and painting, and I would literally hear like like angels singing.
Oh.
And I so there was a little am I going crazy? Like I thought like that was happening. Again, I was all alone. I didn't have a lot of support. Um and you know, yeah, I didn't have a lot of support and went on medication. I thought I was going crazy. And the medication for me, and everyone has their own story with it. But for me, it was good for a little while, and then it started to suppress again. And I met my now husband, and again, grace of spirit. He's like, "What if you went off the medication? You were just yourself." And I was like, "All right, here we go." And we were just newly together, and I remember I was like, "Okay, here we go." And again, the art called me, and I painted this giant mural of the goddess. The god, and I was like, I need to paint a mural. And started happening again. I started hearing the voice of the goddess through the painting. I was like, okay, I'm going to stick with it this time. I'm not going to shut this down. Um, and get emotional because, yeah, that like, and so I like called my boyfriend, now husband, and I'm like, is she speaking to you? Because I was painting her, and she's like, you're not done with my eyes. She was telling me how she wanted to be painted. And I put Brent in front. I'm like, is she speaking to you? And he looked at her and he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, okay. And then he's like, have you ever heard of shamanism? And I was like, no. And he was like talking about, he's like, in other parts of the world and other times, what you're talking about isn't crazy. It's a gift.
Yeah.
Um, and we just happened to have one of our good friends just starting this training, this shamanic training. And I was telling him what was going on. He's like, you just need to meet my teachers. And what went from me feeling like all these things that were happening to me was crazy and that I needed to keep it hidden. Um, it was a power, it was a gift. And I don't want anyone to feel the way that I felt for so long, that they're all alone, and that they're judging their gift. And ooh, God, I'm getting emotional today. And that's why I created the community that I created. It's called Art Medicine.
Yeah.
And it's for creators and healers who work with art as this gateway to the divine. Um, yeah, so that's kind of where it took off. And, you know, that was my early 20s. I'm now 47, so a lot has happened. But yeah, that led to birth work and just always weaving the healer and the artist
Yeah.
and the spiritual seeker, and just like, yeah, it's just been
Yeah.
a dance.
The connection to spirit, to God, Mother Nature, the universe, this is a topic that I love to talk about,
Yeah.
because I had a very broken relationship for a very, very long time. And it was, my experience of introduction to God was through the Church of England at school. And
Mm.
my experience of it was very much a judge, and that feeling of like, every time I get something wrong, I'm going to go to hell. Like it's just
Oh, yeah.
being really vigilant on forever looking out for, like where I'm just going to get in trouble. That was my whole
Mm-hmm.
experience. So of
Yeah.
of course, then from there, all I wanted to do was say, this is garbage. Like, no, there was no resonance of truth in my body with that experience and that picture of what God is. And so I couldn't even say God for
Mm-hmm. Totally.
decades. Like it was just like this is just nothing here. So my connection has always been with Mother Nature, with the great mother,
Mm-hmm.
the earth.
Mm-hmm.
She is life. She's life. She's death. She's the storms. She's the calm. She's the beauty. She's the everything. And I can really strongly connect with that. So Mother Nature, the universe, and the ability to talk about God is something that is probably only been in the last year, and it's an exploration.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I had a performance coach a few years ago who said to me, think of God like this beautiful wave of energy that just is everywhere. Every time you walk
Mm-hmm.
barefoot on the earth, or it's just this wave of energy. It's not a judge that you don't have to look up, you don't have to sit in church, you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to different. And that was years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it planted the seed. I talk about planting seed
Yeah.
in fertile soil. It's taken a while to blossom, but I
Yeah.
love it. That's coming through for me. And I unequivocally want women to understand that it's your relationship. I don't think God, Mother Nature, the universe,
Totally.
is saying, well, I'm not talking to you because you haven't called me the right name.
Right. No way. No way.
So your connection with spirit
Mm-hmm.
came so much earlier. Was it in your family? Was there, how was it just something that you never
Mm-hmm.
questioned, or?
My mom, I'm so grateful for, I mean, she did so much amazing, so much right, and there, in particular, how she nurtured my relationship with God and with art. She's an artist,
Mm,
and I'm Jewish, so I come, Jewish background, and my family, they're creators, and they came from the East Coast and they moved to the West Coast. And they did not bring with them, like, we didn't go to synagogue. We just, it was much more of a cultural thing, and we created our own traditions. And they were definitely more interested in like Buddhism and, you know, your own relationship with God. So when I was a little girl, I would ask her about God, and she would just say, God is everywhere. God is everywhere and in everything. And what's funny about that is, because I'm like little kids taking things literally, I would like sit on my bed and try to look at God, like look in the air and see if I could see God. But what that did is it really trained me to look for energy.
ah,
And then when I went away to school, and it was part of the like mind expanding thing, is she gave me a book called Awakening the Buddha Within. And her only instruction was, don't read it all at once. Just read it bit by bit. And so I went and just read it all at once, and my mind. But she was the same with art. Like, she was just really, she's an incredible artist, very prolific, and always so encouraging. And she would just like offer things here and there, like, when you make the chin smaller, the face looks more feminine. And she would, like, and then that would be like the tip for a few months, or like one thing about that. But it was just like, oh, great, or like skin tones, or um, so she just did a really incredible job of like, and then like hands off, with art and spirituality.
mm,
Yeah, I'm very, very grateful for that.
gift. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there are so many ways that we can take this conversation.
I know.
I want to ask, just because it's something that that there is in Kabbalah, which I believe is tied to
Hmm.
Jewish faith. There is the
Hmm.
Empress as well. Are you familiar?
Hmm.
So is there a difference between Tarot Empress and Kabbalah? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know the difference between the Tarot Empress and the Kabbalah Empress. Um, yeah, I'm starting to explore. I just took some classes at the Hebrew Priestess Institute, so definitely feeling more connected to like the priestess lineages of um, Judaism, but I don't know
Okay.
the Empress. Yeah,
To be discovered.
yeah.
When we think of art as a healing, as a medicine, how do you walk women through that?
Mm. I mean, I feel like what we've created with art medicine is a sanctuary that the women had it in them already, like very, very similar story in a lot of ways that, um, you know, people knowing that they're creators and that their relationship with art, the intention is to create, to heal themselves and transform and offer that to other people to create really intentionally. Um, so, yeah, in terms of walking people through it, I feel like they come to the door already having that and like
Yeah.
um, what I feel like we support them with the most is who comes to the door are very multi creative, multi-dimensional women who have a lot of different interests. So, interests in creativity and healing, spirituality, whatever else they're into. And they don't know how to bring it together. And it's getting really confusing and feeling like they have to decide. And this was my story too. Like, am I a healer? Am I an artist? Am I an entrepreneur? I never felt like I fully fit in any one of those communities. Am I a doula? Like, it just was always like, and so what we're doing is in our space is like, you're all of it, you're all of it. And so we create processes and we have a certification and different courses and programs where we're weaving those different elements in through different structures. And it's kind of like these different elements. It's like there's like a medicine chest, and we're like, okay, we're going to put a little listen, and it becomes this like cohesive idea or vision
Yeah.
or offering.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's just a lot of permission giving, like not from us, but like it's the environment of giving ourselves the permission that we get to be all of it. And this is like what the world is needing now are these new kinds of artists, these new kinds of healers, these new kinds of entrepreneurs, these new kinds of mothers, these new kinds of leaders. Like it's all of it. We're all of it. We don't have to decide, like even now. But it's interesting, we can run up against it. Like that's what I'm right now. Like, well, I'm an online entrepreneur, I'm an artist. And guess what? I'm also an executive producer, and now I'm going to direct my own films. I don't have to choose. I get to do all of it, you
Mm.
know? Um, but there's that part of me of like, you have to decide, like, are you going to like let this go? Or it's like, no, like I
Yeah.
don't have to, you know? So I think it's like creating the space that we have such a bigger capacity
Mm.
than we've given ourselves credit for. And when we challenge ourselves and when we grow and we do the thing, the capacity grows and then we are transformed. And then it's kind of like, what else can we do?
Mm.
What else is possible?
Mm.
So it's like this community, this environment of bravery and courage and uh, sharing what it is that we're making, that it's, and we talk about this a lot. It's like, it's about us and it's beyond us, right? Of course, we're going to heal and transform and show your art because there's medicine in it,
Mm.
share it with the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's how we walk, walk women through.
I talked before about, like the fertile soil and the seed that's planted. And, one of the seeds that was planted in my mind was the Dalai Lama said that, the world will be saved by the Western woman, which has
Oh,
taken me many years to digest, but it's never left me. It's always just been this thing that's filtered around. And
yeah.
I feel very much that this conversation about the Empress, it's about women claiming permission, but also through our stories
Mm-hmm.
and through what we do, is giving other women permission as well. We kind of we hold each other's hands through this experience, and there are quite a few women. I love the emotion that came up as you shared your story and feeling, like
Mm-hmm.
feeling like the weird one, and am I broken? And I wouldn't want anyone to know about this. But when we share it, when we can come to a place
Yeah,
where we share this, it normalizes, and
totally,
this is literally how we're going to save the world. Because
totally.
the more unique gifts we can bring, the more healing modalities, which is not about a pharmaceutical pill, it's about being in alignment with what our soul is yearning to do and not waiting for permission to follow it. So you've just encapsulated that beautifully. And I love that your mother was such an advocate for you as well. That's really
Yeah.
beautiful. And some women have that and some women don't. But it wasn't so much my story, but there are other women that have been like mothers that have come into my life,
Mm-hmm.
been that.
Mm-hmm.
And all the time I am very certain that you're that for other women as well. And I have
Mm-hmm.
that experience. We all have the ability to be that for other women.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
you're, like I love that you're doing this. I'd love to hear just another little snippet about the film. Are you at a point where you
Yeah.
want to share about? Yes, please.
Oh, sure. So yeah, so the my husband and I, we produced our first feature film. We 100% in the can right before the holidays. Um, it was the most epic, it was the most beautiful and challenging experience of both of our lives. And he's wanted to be he has been in film for the last 25 years, but he hasn't done a feature yet. And that's something he's wanted to do since he was a little boy. And we have like such different approaches to creativity. It's like he's always had this vision
Yeah.
since he was a little boy, where my relationship to my path has always been following the clues and the breadcrumbs. And it's actually through an art medicine process that, essentially your painting turns into an oracle where you can hear, right? I was telling you, like, you could hear spirit through the painting. And when I was developing it, I asked a friend to do it with me. And I heard clear as day, this was 8 or 9 years ago. I heard through my painting, you will be a film producer. I was like, what? This was before I did my online business. I was like, okay. And I turned to my friend, I'm like, this is what I just heard. And she looked at me and she's like, I see it.
Oh.
Okay. And it just like feeded it. And it's just like incredible how things weave together. And so I'm the executive producer on the film, and essentially it's the business side of the film, right? Like finding the funding, finding the investors, working with the money. Where does the money go on the project? That bigger vision. So that was my role, along with some art making and things like that. Um, but yeah, so the movie, this is very funny. It's people laugh usually so it's called Song of the Bigfoot. It's about three lovable Bigfoot seekers who get lost in the wilderness in a life or death ordeal,
Yeah.
and they must find their way back home and really find a life worth living. And it's a coming of age story for adults, and it's quirky and it's funny. We were not Bigfoot people before this movie came. We were going to actually do another movie that's more along these topics that we're talking about today. But my husband, our intention was to create a piece of art. It dropped in during COVID, to create a piece of art that would unify people.
No.
And um, he came home, he was skiing, and he came home and was like, I think I found the idea. And he told us, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so funny. I need to do better with my log line. I'm still like working on it, but it's so quirky, it's so funny, it's so heartwarming. And the funny thing about Bigfoot is that Bigfoot is the great equalizer. People across races, political affiliations, classes, ages, all there's studies, all equally love Bigfoot the same. And so it's this like amazing symbol for harmony,
Yeah.
funnily enough. And it puts a smile on everyone's face when we tell them what it's about. Um, so yeah, so it will be done later this year. And my husband right now, he's at Sundance promoting it and things like that. So
Oh, wow. Oh, that's so exciting.
yes,
Talk about birthing something magnificent into the world.
it was
Wow.
massive.
Ma-
I was on set and I was like, this is like every birth I've ever done all at once. It was like the intensity was just unlike anything I've
Yeah.
ever experienced.
I would love
Yep.
to see it. I hope that it's going to
Oh
be
yeah.
available, yeah, in
Yes.
Australia. I
Yeah.
imagine it'll just,
Everywhere.
yeah. Okay. I know you've got a beautiful experience for
Yeah,
our,
let's do it.
so let's dive into that. I'm going to hop off and leave you with this space, and I'll be back when you're.
Okay.
Is there anything that I haven't asked that you feel like we need to know before you dive in?
Well, I mean, I just think we're in the great mother space. And I was sharing with Edwina that what I'm going to guide you through today is a way that I've connected with the great mother since I was in third grade. I had a really incredible teacher who brought meditation into our classroom. And I've been doing this meditation since third grade.
Mm.
And yeah, I want to offer it. And then we'll do some art too. So just very simply, if you want to have a piece of paper, I have my journal here. I have some colored pencils. Even if you just have a pen or a pencil around, you can do that too. And it's just art is in the art medicine world. We just always have our art supplies around because it's the way that we bring through the medicine and the way that we integrate the work. We also talk about a lot that the canvas or the page is the meeting place between you and the divine. So it's the doorway. So we just want to have it around. So
I love
we'll do, yeah.
that.
So you're going to jump off?
I'm gonna jump off. I'll just put you on
Okay.
you and I'll be back when you're finished.
Okay. Sounds good. Awesome. Okay. So why don't you just allow yourself? I'm just going to shift gears a little bit and I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes and just allow yourself to land and just to feel the essence, the energy of what we've talked about already today. So just letting go of anything that doesn't serve you or you don't need, and just allow the essence, the energy of what was shared here that benefits you to remain. Nice slow, deep breath. And with each breath, just allow yourself to draw in more and more deeply into your internal world. And feeling the surface underneath you and the ground under your feet. As you breathe in and out, and as you exhale, just bringing your gratitude and honoring of the earth to the earth. And as you breathe in, just breathing in the support, the unconditional love of the earth into your system, into your feet, into your legs, your roots, up your body to the crown of your head, just all of that beautiful unconditional love up to the crown of your head. And again, as you breathe out, just releasing any energies that no longer serve you, just allowing the earth to magnetize these energies and draw them out of your system, drawing any toxins or any energies that no longer belong, just pulling it out of your system and into the earth for her to alchemize. And just again, breathing in all of that power and love of the earth into your system, all the way up your body to the crown of your head. And as you breathe out, just allowing the earth to draw out any energies that no longer serve you, creating more space for your own life energy to move and flow. And one more time, just breathing in all of that love from the earth up into your system, the crown of your head. And as you breathe out, just drawing out any toxins down through your body, everything that doesn't belong, drawn out, pulled out by the earth, where she takes it and creates something new, creating more space for your own life energy to flow through your body and your system. Nice, slow, deep breaths. And just creating that space for your own life energy. And on your next breath, you're just going to sense, feel, or imagine beautiful healing energy at the crown of your head. And you're just going to allow that healing energy, maybe taking a moment and just noticing what color it is. If there's an energy or symbols or shapes associated with this healing energy, I'm just going to bring it through the crown of your head, cascading down into your head and face, releasing any tension that you might be feeling around your eyes and jaw. And just allowing this energy to cascade down your neck and throat. And just releasing any tension in your neck and throat as it cascades down your shoulders and upper back and into your heart area. Nice, slow, deep breaths as this healing energy moves into all of the places that might be holding a little tension, constriction. And allowing that healing energy to continue down into your belly, your lower back, into your bottom, your legs and feet, and into the earth. Slow, deep breath. And just noticing how you are so filled up with this healing, warm, beautiful energy. It's as if it's coming out of the pores of your body, surrounding you in a cocoon or cloud of soothing, gentle energy. And as you feel supported in this way, you're just going to sense, feel, or imagine that there's a path before you. And just taking a moment and just noticing what the path is made of. And you're so drawn to walk along this path, and you also notice that you are wearing something fantastic. Looking down at your body and just noticing this beautiful outfit that you're wearing. And you feel so powerful in this outfit. It brings you so much joy. It expresses you perfectly. And so just allowing yourself to walk along this path. And up ahead on this path, you see this beautiful threshold. You've never seen such a beautiful threshold and doorway, just beckoning you to walk through. It's so inviting. It's almost as if you hear humming or the most beautiful singing you've ever heard on the other side of this door. And allow yourself to gently push this door open. And as you do, you are overcome with such delight. You've opened the door into a beautiful garden, the most beautiful garden you have ever seen. It feels both like the first time you've ever been here and that you've been here infinitely. That this place is familiar and new. And so exquisite. And just take a moment and look around to see what's in your particular garden. If there are particular flowers or animals that bring you joy and healing. Noticing what is here in this garden and how you feel here. And then you feel called to close the door as well, so you feel completely safe in this garden. And just noticing that there's a magical nature, a mystical nature to this garden as well. A shimmer. And looking around your garden, again, noticing how you feel in this garden. And up ahead, you see that there are 2 seats under a shade. And as you walk closer to these 2 seats, you see that there's someone sitting in one of them. And as you approach the seat, you can feel, sense, or imagine that it's the Great Mother. This divine feminine energy, force, being, however it is that you connect with this creative power. And she invites you to sit down with her, and she has some tea and some snacks, and she's so delighted to see you. And as you sit down, you remember that you meet here often. You have met here often. this place of reflection, of learning, of growing, of hearing the messages, resting. And as you're sitting here with her, you're just going to ask if there's a particular message she has for you at this time. And it might be spoken or telepathic. It might be a change in the environment or as an action on the part of the Great Mother. And seeing if there's a particular message. And feeling her joy. And she expresses what a fantastic job you are doing as you live your life on planet Earth. She is delighted by your journey. She's so happy for you and all of the lessons that you are learning and all of the ways that you continue to evolve and grow. She's reminding you that she is here for you always. There isn't one step that you take that she isn't right by your side, supporting you, protecting you, guiding you. She is here, and she is delighted by you, by everything that you've created, you create, and will create. She looks at you with those bright, loving eyes, kindness, inviting you to put down anything you feel ashamed about, and creating space to give yourself so much grace. Anything that you've been worrying about, being hard on yourself about in this moment, she's asking to give yourself the grace that you would offer to anyone else. I'm delighted, she said. You're doing an incredible job. Nice, slow, deep breath. And just know that this place is yours. You can access it at any time and sit and have tea with the Great Mother and ask her anything. She's always here. And before we go, notice that she has a gift for you. And she puts it in your hands. Just take a moment and just open it up. And it's understood that you are taking this gift back with you. And she's always with you. So just taking a moment and thanking her. You know that it's time to go now. You stand up from your chair. And you look around this beautiful garden, knowing you can come back here at any time. And in fact, this place lives within you. And just allowing yourself to take your time and walk through the garden. And when you're ready, you're just going to open the door back up, just feeling energized and supported from the inside out. And just walking across the threshold back on the path, taking your time to where you sit now. And if you feel like you want to sit here with eyes closed a little bit longer because it just feels so good to be in this space, or if you would like to follow along, I'm going to invite you to open your eyes and we're going to bridge this medicine, bridge this energy into the physical. Okay, so remember that our page, our canvas is the doorway, the communication point between you and the divine. So there's a couple of prompts that I'm going to offer you, and take your time. You know, and you might be working on this after we're sitting here together. But something I love to do um, is I write to my guidance through my journal. So one prompt can be ask the Great Mother to write you a love letter and then write her one back. Okay, so that's one prompt. And then the prompt that we can just do here, we'll call them divine doodles, is to doodle a shape, symbol, or image that represents or holds the energy of that gift that she gave you. Okay, and we'll just take 2 minutes to do that. And working very intuitively. So when I'm working with art medicine, I always look at the colors and really look at which one's jumping out at me, even if it's a color that I don't typically use. And you might receive more information as you're making the art. More of it might download, dial in, let that flow open, continue to move through your system. Okay, my friends. So take your time, have fun with this. So again, it can be a love letter to the great or from the Great Mother and then back to the Great Mother. And also you can just get into a dialogue with the Great Mother through your journal. And then just enjoy doodling away, and we're letting go of any critic. This is not about what it looks like. It's really about just bridging that world into this world, right? Through our art. Thank you so much for going on this journey.
Oh, so special. Oh my gosh, that garden image is just beautiful. It's beautiful visualization. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to do is I feel like I know you have a beautiful gift for our
Yeah.
audience. You want to just take a minute to let them know what that is, and then I've got one final question for you.
Sure. Okay. So the gift is called Activate Your Divine Mission Through Art. And it's one of our more popular workshops, and it's so much fun. And we're working with intuitive art, intentional art to get to the source of your divine mission through this sequential art process. It's really fun. So I hope you enjoy it.
So good. So so just whatever comes up from that divine knowing, What I want to know is, where are you and what are you doing when that feeling of divine inner peace, joy,
Mm.
harmony with the world around you is alive and well?
Where am I?
Yeah, where are you? What are you doing?
I like I'm in a really lovely spot right now after some that pattern I was telling you about of like the resistance.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have it's right now. I'm having a very sweet time where I have the house to myself for a few days and I'm connecting to the Great Mother regularly and I'm giving myself permission
Yeah.
to do whatever I want, like whatever I want. Um,
I love that.
and yeah, that's what's happening right now.
Do you know my journal practice in the morning? I start my journal practice with "Good morning, Great Mother. Please write through."
Oh, nice. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I love that you've brought that particular language forward, and the visualization and everything for me just feels like divine alignment. It couldn't be more perfect. Thank you so
Mm.
much for your time,
Mm.
Alexis. I love and adore you, and every time we get to connect, it just feels like such a gift. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And I feel the same way. This is beautiful.
All right, beautiful souls. That is it from us for another amazing interview in Embody the Empress. And I will see you again next time. So much love. Mwah. And bye for now.